In the quiet town of Calaveras, a grandmother, who was meant to love and protect, carried a dark secret that would shake the community to its core. What started as trust turned into betrayal, and what should have been love turned into cruelty. This is the tragic story of Liam and Logan, two bright twin brothers with dreams as big as the sky, and how their lives were stolen by the one person they trusted the most. Calaveras was a picturesque town, the kind of place you'd see in a feel-good movie or read about in a quaint novel. The streets were lined with rows of charming, historic houses, each one painted in soft pastel shades or classic whites, their front yards adorned with neatly trimmed hedges and vibrant flower beds. The sidewalks were always bustling with friendly faces, as residents greeted one another with warm smiles and exchanged pleasantries. The local bakery was a cornerstone of the community, its aroma of freshly baked bread and sweet pastries wafting through the air, drawing people in like a magnet. Every day felt like a celebration of simplicity and togetherness, as neighbors gathered to chat about the weather, the latest town events, or simply to share a laugh. Beneath this idyllic surface, Calaveras harbored a shadowy truth, a secret so sinister that it would shake the very foundation of this seemingly perfect community. The Davis family was at the heart of it, carrying a burden so dark it would forever stain the town's history. Welcome to Crimewavestories HQ. I want to thank all my viewers, especially my subscribers, for your continued support as we strive to improve and bring you daily updates on both told and untold crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Ellen Davis, a 63-year-old widow, lived alone in a sprawling, cozy house at the end of Cherry Lane. Her home, with its white picket fence and ivy-covered walls, was the epitome of warmth and hospitality. Ellen was a beloved figure in Calaveras, known for her ever-present smile that could light up even the darkest of days and her exceptional baking skills, especially her renowned pies that were a staple at every community event. She was a devoted grandmother to her twin grandsons, Liam and Logan, whom she cherished above all else. Ellen's past, once marked by an appearance of comfort and contentment, stood in stark contrast to her present life. There was a time when she had been a young woman full of dreams, her life resembling a fairy tale, complete with a love story that seemed destined to stand the test of time. In her early 20s, Ellen married Richard Davis, her high school sweetheart and the love of her life. Richard was a man of integrity, a hard-working carpenter whose hands crafted beauty from raw wood. His gentle demeanor and unwavering dedication to his family made him a pillar of strength in Ellen's life. Together they built a modest home filled with joy, laughter, and the pitter-patter of little feet as they raised their 3 children, Sarah, Amanda, and Benjamin. Ellen took immense pride in being a homemaker, orchestrating family dinners where the aroma of home-cooked meals blended with the sounds of lively conversations. Holidays were magical in their household, with the family gathered around the fireplace, exchanging gifts and stories. Life seemed perfect, a harmonious blend of love, dreams, and togetherness. But tragedy struck when Richard's life was cut short by a sudden heart attack, leaving Ellen a widow at the age of 52. His unexpected death shattered the family's sense of stability, as Richard had been the glue that held them together. Ellen's world crumbled, and she found herself drowning in grief that seemed insurmountable. She withdrew from her community and even her children, who tried their best to support her while managing their own lives. Sarah, the eldest, was a nurse whose demanding career and growing family kept her busy. Amanda, the ambitious middle child, had moved across the country to pursue a career in law. Benjamin, the youngest, struggled with addiction, a battle that eventually led him to sever ties with the family. Ellen's once vibrant home grew eerily quiet, her grief echoing in every empty room. It was Sarah who brought a glimmer of hope back into Ellen's life when she gave birth to twin boys, Liam and Logan. The twins quickly became the center of Ellen's world, giving her a renewed sense of purpose. Sarah and her husband, Michael, trusted Ellen implicitly, often leaving the boys in her care while they worked long hours. At first, caring for her grandsons seemed to breathe life back into Ellen, filling her days with joy and activity. She cherished every moment spent with the twins, whether it was baking cookies, helping them with school projects, or simply watching them play in her backyard. But underneath this renewed vigor, A darker side of Ellen began to emerge, one shaped by her unresolved grief and festering loneliness. As the boys grew older, Liam and Logan became inseparable. They shared a bond that was as unbreakable as it was extraordinary. They started each day with an early morning jog through Calaveras' quiet streets, reveling in the stillness of dawn as the town slowly stirred to life. The twins cherished these moments of solitude, where they could talk about their dreams, tease each other, and plan their day. After their jog, they'd head to the local diner for breakfast, greeted warmly by the staff who knew them as regulars. Their usual order of scrambled eggs and toast was always ready by the time they arrived, a small gesture that made them feel like an integral part of the community. At school, the twins excelled in both academics and sports, each complementing the other's strengths. Liam was the outgoing one, a charismatic leader who shone on the soccer field as a forward, his energy and enthusiasm infectious. Logan, more reserved and introspective, was the strategist of the team, analyzing plays and ensuring their success with his calculated moves. Their teachers often remarked that the twins were like two halves of the same coin, perfectly balanced and inseparable. Their peers admired their unwavering loyalty to each other, a bond that seemed to set them apart from everyone else. After school, the twins devoted their afternoons to soccer practice, where their synergy earned them the nickname Dynamic Duo. Evenings were quieter, often spent at Ellen's house with their closest friends, Jake, Emma, and Tyler. The group would study together, share stories, and dream about the future. They loved gathering under the big oak tree in Ellen's backyard, where they'd lose track of time talking about college, careers, and adventures beyond Calaveras. Weekends were reserved for volunteering at the community center, where Liam and Logan mentored younger kids, helping them with schoolwork and sports. Their lives appeared picture-perfect, a testament to their determination and the support system around them. But behind the scenes, something sinister was beginning to unfold. Sarah and Michael, though loving and dedicated parents, were often consumed by their demanding careers. Sarah worked as a nurse and frequently took on double shifts at the hospital, while Michael's construction business often kept him traveling. Despite their busy schedules, they prioritized their sons, making nightly phone calls to remind them of their love and pride. The boys cherished these moments, finding comfort in their parents' efforts to stay connected. They eagerly anticipated Sunday family dinners, the rare occasions when everyone could gather around the table and share stories from their week. Yet, unbeknownst to Sarah and Michael, the person they trusted most with their sons was gradually becoming their worst nightmare. Ellen's obsession with her grandsons began innocently enough, with small gestures that seemed like acts of love. She often showered them with gifts, from designer clothes to the latest gadgets, even presenting them with a custom-made soccer ball embossed with their initials. Initially, the boys saw her generosity as a reflection of her affection, but over time, her behavior grew increasingly invasive. Ellen began insisting on taking their measurements for new clothes or asking them to keep the door to their room open, using these requests as excuses to invade their personal space. She even went so far as to insist they use her bathroom for showers, only to secretly peek at them while they bathed. She frequently made unsettling comments about their appearances, her tone tinged with a possessiveness that made the boys deeply uncomfortable. "You boys are too handsome for your own good. I feel like eating you up," she'd say, her gaze lingering on them for a moment too long. Her need to have her way with them became more apparent as she orchestrated ways to keep them at her house overnight. Ellen would claim she needed help with chores or wasn't feeling well, pulling at their sense of duty and compassion. One evening, she invited them over for dinner, promising their favorite dish, lasagna. After the meal, she served them hot chocolate, secretly laced with a mild sedative. After the boys fell asleep, Ellen carried them to their room and undressed them, her actions crossing disturbing boundaries as she inappropriately touched their bodies. She fondled their private areas, attempting to stimulate them, and continued her abuse until she was satisfied. When the boys woke up, they felt groggy and disoriented, confused as to why they had fallen asleep and unable to recall how they had ended up in their beds. When they questioned her, Ellen dismissed their concerns with a sweet smile, assuring them they must have been exhausted from soccer practice. This behavior continued for months as she repeatedly took advantage of the boys, using them to satisfy her dark desires. Her obsession grew, and she constantly wanted the boys to be in her presence. As Ellen's obsession deepened, she began isolating the boys from their friends by spreading false rumors about Jake, Emma, and Tyler, creating rifts in their friendships. She monitored the twins' phones, intercepting and deleting messages without their knowledge. The boys felt trapped, their once vibrant social lives reduced to the confines of Ellen's manipulations. Ellen used psychological tactics to ensure their silence, often guilt-tripping them with phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, how can you treat me this way?" She even threatened to fabricate stories about them skipping school or engaging in reckless behavior, instilling fear and confusion. Overwhelmed and unsure of how to break free, the boys endured her control, unaware of the storm that was building around them. The turning point came on a chilly, snowy evening when Liam and Logan's unease reached its peak. Ellen had insisted they spend the night, claiming she needed help fixing a broken window latch in the attic. While the boys worked on the repair, they discovered an old locked trunk hidden beneath a dusty tarp. Driven by curiosity, they managed to pry it open after some effort. Inside, they found a collection of items that sent chills down their spines, photographs of them taken during their showers, an indecent photo of Ellen with them on a bed, their underpants, and disturbing journal entries detailing Ellen's obsessive thoughts about them. Panic set in as the boys realized the extent of their grandmother's fixation. They quickly closed the trunk, their hearts pounding as they whispered about what to do next. They knew they couldn't confront Ellen directly. Her manipulative nature and their fear of retaliation made that impossible. Instead, they decided to confide in their friend Jake, whose father was a police officer. The boys waited for an opportunity to leave Ellen's house without raising suspicion, their anxiety mounting with each passing minute. When Liam and Logan finally returned home, they called Jake and shared everything they had discovered, from the indecent shower photos to how Ellen had sedated them to exploit them. Jake listened in stunned silence before urging them to meet him at the restaurant where he was having lunch with friends. With Jake's support, the twins began devising a plan to expose Ellen's behavior and secure their safety. Jake's father, Officer Reynolds, became a trusted confidant and ally, guiding them through the process of gathering evidence and preparing to confront the harsh truth. The days that followed were tense, as the twins balanced their normal routines with the weight of their secret mission. Ellen, unaware of their plans, continued her manipulations, but the boys now saw her actions in a new light. They grew more determined with each passing day, their bonds strengthening as they worked together to reclaim their lives and protect their future. The twins knew they needed to reclaim their lives, but the path ahead felt daunting and uncertain. After much deliberation, they resolved to confront Ellen directly, hoping that standing up to her would force her to stop. That evening, they arrived at her house, their hearts pounding with a mix of determination and dread. What followed was an explosive confrontation. As they presented Ellen with their findings and evidence, her carefully constructed facade shattered. Her warm, grandmotherly demeanor dissolved into unhinged rage, leaving the twins stunned. She accused them of betrayal, her voice shrill with anger, and screamed that they were ungrateful for everything she had done for them. The confrontation escalated, fully revealing Ellen's true nature. Overwhelmed and terrified, Liam and Logan fled the house, their determination solidified as they vowed to report her to the authorities. Unknown to the twins, Ellen was already plotting her next move. She called them, inviting them over for dinner under the pretense of making amends and starting fresh. Her voice trembled with contrition as she promised not to touch them inappropriately or do anything indecent again. She begged them not to say a word to anyone, not their parents or the police. Desperate for closure and cautiously hopeful that she had finally come to her senses, Liam and Logan reluctantly agreed. That evening, they arrived at her house to the familiar aroma of Ellen's cooking. She had prepared their favorite dishes, setting the table with care to evoke memories of happier times. Though wary, the boys sat down to eat, unaware that their fragile trust was about to be fatally betrayed. Ellen had laced their food with a lethal dose of poison, her twisted mind convinced that if she couldn't have her way with them, she would at least control the narrative of their deaths. When the twins didn't wake up the next morning, Ellen calmly called the police. Her voice trembled with the perfect blend of shock and sorrow as she reported the tragic accident. She played the part of a heartbroken grandmother flawlessly, weeping over the loss of her beloved grandsons. The town of Calaveras was devastated by the news. Liam and Logan had been shining stars in their community, their bright futures tragically cut short. The townspeople gathered for vigils, their grief palpable as they struggled to make sense of the devastating loss. Ellen's performance was so convincing that even those closest to the twins initially believed her version of events. However, Detective Harris, assigned to the case, couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. During the investigation, he uncovered inconsistencies in Ellen's account of the events leading up to the boys' deaths. While her outward demeanor was sorrowful, it seemed rehearsed and calculated. A breakthrough came when, by a stroke of luck, the boys' writing pads were discovered in a small box hidden beneath a loose floorboard in their room. The journals detailed their harrowing experiences with Ellen, documenting her inappropriate and abusive behavior in full detail, along with the disturbing evidence they had uncovered in her home. Each entry painted a chilling picture of a woman consumed by obsession, willing to go to any lengths to cover up her actions and silence her grandsons. Armed with damning evidence, Detective Harris arrested Ellen, and the horrifying truth began to emerge. The courtroom was packed on the day of Ellen's sentencing. Residents of Calaveras, once enchanted by her warm smile and kind demeanor, now struggled to reconcile the loving grandmother they thought they knew with the cold, calculating woman revealed in court. The testimonies of Jake, Emma, and Tyler brought the harsh reality into sharp focus. They recounted the twins' anguish, their whispered confessions, and the heavy burden of secrets they carried. Their words left many in tears, a painful reminder of the community's collective failure to protect two of its brightest souls. Sarah and Michael Davis, crushed by grief, attended every day of the trial. They sat in the front row, clutching each other's hands as the evidence of their mother's betrayal was laid bare. For Sarah, the guilt was almost unbearable. How had she missed the signs? How had she let her boys down so completely? Michael, though equally devastated, reminded her that no one could have foreseen the depth of Ellen's darkness. They both vowed to honor their son's memories by becoming advocates for children and families in crisis. In court, Ellen showed no remorse for her actions, her cold indifference shocking even the most hardened observers. The overwhelming evidence left no doubt about her guilt, and she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her reputation as a loving grandmother was shattered, replaced by the image of a manipulative predator who had betrayed the very family she claimed to love. The tragic story of Liam and Logan serves as a haunting reminder that evil can lurk behind even the most familiar and trusted faces. It highlights the critical importance of listening to those in need, even when their stories seem difficult to believe. Perhaps their lives could have been saved if someone had recognized the warning signs earlier and intervened. Their legacy now stands as a powerful call to vigilance and compassion, urging communities to pay attention to the silent cries for help that often go unnoticed. After Ellen's conviction, Calaveras began to heal, but the scars left by the tragedy ran deep. The community center, where Liam and Logan had volunteered, erected a memorial in their honor. A plaque bearing their names and a quote from one of their journals served as a reminder of their kindness and resilience. Even in the darkest times, there's always light if you're brave enough to look for it. The twins' friends, Jake, Emma, and Tyler, spearheaded initiatives to support mental health and abuse awareness, ensuring that no one else in the town would feel as isolated and unheard as Liam and Logan had. Detective Harris, deeply affected by the case, dedicated himself to improving protocols for identifying and addressing signs of abuse. He gave talks at schools and community gatherings, urging people to trust their instincts and speak up when something felt wrong. His persistence turned the tragedy into a catalyst for change, not just in Calaveras but in neighboring towns as well. Years later, Sarah and Michael established the Liam and Logan Foundation, a non-profit organization aimed at supporting at-risk youth and providing resources for families dealing with abuse. The foundation funded scholarships, youth programs, and counseling services, ensuring that the twins' legacy lived on through the lives they touched. Calaveras, once a picture-perfect town, now carried the weight of a hard-earned lesson, the importance of vigilance, empathy, and the courage to act. Though the Davis family would never be whole again, their tragedy brought about a ripple of change that saved countless lives and united the community in ways they had never imagined. The story of Liam and Logan is a painful reminder of how trust can be betrayed. But it also shows us the importance of justice and the strength it takes to bring the truth to light. Have you ever had an abusive experience? Share with us in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on our next journey into the intricate worlds of trust, betrayal, and justice.